Hey, how you doing?
Right. So why would I bring you to speak at a senior living conference?
Because I'm a senior. I'm 55 years old.
So He's
I
now
can
the market,
relate.
guys. So we want to sit down and figure out what kind of senior living community would Darryl, DMC McDaniels want to live in?
Anyone that has Paul McCartney, Keith Richards, Mick Jagger, and all of the classic rock artists living in it.
All right.
And a couple of the old school guys, the old school rap guys.
We'll get to work on it. So,
Exactly.
as I mentioned, I'm a big hip hop fan, but I know not everybody in the room may not know the Run-DMC story. So let's take it back to the beginning.
Yes.
Did you grow up saying, I want to be a hip hop artist?
No, not at all, not at all. I was a young kid. I grew up in Hollis, Queens, New York. I went to Catholic school my whole life, so I know the nuns and the priests, everything like that. And all I did was read, collect, and draw comic books. Musically, I didn't have no music when I was younger because Marvin Gaye, Al Green, Aretha Franklin was my mother and father's music. That's when they were young. I was a kid, my mother and father I could still remember when they were young. So Marvin Gaye, Al Green, Aretha Franklin, that was my mother and father's music. I didn't have no music until 70s folk rock and 70s so-called, what is called classic rock. Radio was different in the 70s because those stations, they would play Sly and the Family Stone, but they also would play the Beatles. They would play Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5, but they would also play Joni Mitchell. So 70s rock radio was the thing that attracted me because a lot of the rock songs were about politics and social issues. You know, the Vietnam War, civil rights, women's rights. Neil Young and all those cats, Bob Dylan, John Lennon, they were addressing the issues. So every time I heard rock or a folk rock, it was like social studies to me. So I was just a kid that grew up, didn't really care about soul music because I like comic books. I wasn't into Girls in Love, but it was the folk rock, you know, Bob Dylan, Neil Young, Joni Mitchell, Harry Chapin, Jim Croce, all of those songs that got my attention. And I guess because it was storytelling. Yeah. So I had no idea that was going to work out for me later. So it was just rock. It was just rock. I liked rock because there was something about the sound of the guitars and the drums. Fast forward to when hip-hop comes over the bridge from the Bronx in the early 70s. And I started noticing that a lot of the DJs that were playing disco and funk, they were also playing a lot of the rock songs for the rappers to rap over. Mm-hmm. So when I heard that, it was just me making believe that I could have a career in music, but it was never a serious thought.
So you really wanted to just go into rock?
Well, no, I didn't want to be in music at all. I was a shy kid. I didn't want to get up on stage, but when I started writing my own raps to say over these rock songs, it was just for me. It wasn't for the world to hear. How could I make you understand? When I was younger, the boys would play with G.I. Joe, remember the G.I. Joe dolls? And the girls would play with Barbie. And that was fantasy. So for me pretending to be a rock star or even a hip-hop artist was just like me putting on my favorite blanket around my neck and running through the house saying, I'm Batman and I'm Superman. And my mother would always go, yeah, Superman ain't jumping around in my living room like that. So it was a make-believe pretend thing. So I had no idea I was going to have a music career.
So then how did it start?
Well, it was 8th grade, and growing up in Queens, New York, I went to Catholic school. So the Catholic school kids couldn't go to the neighborhood park to play basketball because you wear a uniform, you got one of these, you got a bag, and it says the name of your school. So I went to St. Pascal Baylon Elementary School, and you had to wear your uniform. So the public school kids are crazy. The public school kids were mean. They was like, oh, so you go to Catholic school, your parents are rich because you got to pay to go to school because they pay for you to go to school. So If you went to Catholic school, you would get bullied, teased, picked on, and you would get your money taken, your lunch money and all that. So you could not go to the neighborhood park. So in the schoolyard at St. Pascal Bayline Elementary School, we had one basketball rim. So after school, the Catholic school kids, we safe. We stay in the schoolyard and play, and then we go home. In 8th grade, a new student comes in. Now, remember when you was in school and from kindergarten to 8th grade, you grew up with all your same friends in the neighborhood. But it was always a weird feeling when out of nowhere, like at 6th grade, you come to school one day, class, we have a new student that is attending. It would always break something up, right? It would break up the flow of everything. So in 8th grade, this new student came named David McGeechan. And David McGeechan was like 7 feet tall. He probably wasn't 7 feet tall because we were kids, but he was like 7 feet taller than us. So David McGeechan dunks on the rim in the schoolyard, and he breaks it. So now we all cry because we can't play basketball because we can't go to the park now. But hold up, my mother and father, I loved them. Rest in peace, they were the best parents ever. They put a rim in my backyard. So the kids from my school, because we couldn't play in the schoolyard no more, they could come to Darryl McDaniels' house and play after school. So usually it'd be about 10 and 12 kids every day after school. One particular day, the guy, just one student shows up from the other class, a young kid named Joseph Simmons, who later would become Run. He comes over alone, we play basketball, and I let him in my basement I let him in the house to get a drink of water, which I shouldn't have did because one of the rules was my mother and father would always work. So y'all know when you was a kid, what's the rule? When there's no parents home, no kids in my house. So this particular day, it was 3:30, and my mother and father don't get home till 4. Come on in and get the water. And I let him in to get the water, and he just said, he saw me and my brother's turntables, a little DJ setup, and he was like, yo, do you do that? And at first I said, no, because it was my secret. Nobody knows that this is what I do. Hip-hop to me was like my superhero secret identity. Like Batman was Bruce Wayne and Superman was Clark Kent, so Darryl McDaniels was Grandmaster Get High Easy D.
That was the name?
That was my name, Grandmaster Get High, because you didn't need weed or alcohol because my music will intoxicate you. So, make a long story short, he goes, is that yours? And I go, no. But then he goes, Joseph goes, my brother's Russell Simmons. Russell Simmons, he was managing all the early rappers like Grandmaster Flash, Curtis Blow, Africa Bambaataa, and stuff like that. So, now I'm starting to pay attention to what he's saying, because I was familiar with this guy named Russell Simmons that was doing all of this. And he said, my name is DJ Run. I'm 12 years old, and when it's not school, not during the school year, in the summertime, Run, when he was 12 years old, Russell, his brother, would let him come to the shows, and Run would get up there and rap and DJ in front of the people. A little 12-year-old kid getting him on stage, it's 1978, 79. It was the cutest thing in the world. So Run was telling me, my brother is doing business with this hip-hop thing. So it was cool, wasn't really paying attention to that. And then Run just discovered that I had rhymes. Like, he was like, yo, Darryl, what's this? And I was like, yo, those are my rhymes. And he read them, and he was like, yo, these are real good, you know what I'm saying? And he just looked at me, and I'll never forget the day. He looked at me, and it was like a movie. He goes, and it was like slow motion. He goes, whenever my brother Russell lets me make a record, I'm going to put you in my group. And I just looked at him like, what the hell did he just say? Because it went in one ear and out another. I was a school kid, you know what I'm saying? So make a long story short, we graduated from elementary school. Run and the guy that was soon to be our DJ Jam Master J, Jason Mizell, they went to the same high school. I went to a completely different high school. They went to Andrew Jackson High School, which was the public school. I went to Rice High School in Harlem. It was another Catholic school. It was the Congregation of Irish Christian Brothers. It was an all-boys Catholic high school in Harlem, and I had to go there because I was a good student. So that was 9th grade. 8th grade, that's Run said that to me. We start high school. Jay and Run go to Andrew Jackson. I go to Rice. So 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. I'm about to graduate from high school. I don't know what the hell that I want to do or what do I want to be, because I remember the day in class, the guidance counselor put this big sheet in front of us. You know, it was like probably, it starts happening in March. They give all the students these long papers and said, pick what you want to be in life. And I'm looking at this long sheet. I was like, I don't know what the hell. I want to draw comics. Like, what the hell is all this? So I picked business management in St. John's University. I graduate class of 82. Oh, shoot, I get a letter. I got accepted to St. John's University. So the first thing that I did before I even ran downstairs and told my mother, yo, I got the mail in, I got accepted, I ran to the basement and I wrote a rhyme about it. I'm DMC, and the place to be. I'm going to St. John's University. And since kindergarten, I acquired the knowledge. After 12th grade, I'm going straight to college. Yeah. So I wrote that rhyme for me because, you know, I made it to college. Everybody in my family was happy. So that was cool. I graduated the class of 82 in June of 82 from Rice High School. I got accepted to St. John's University, wrote my rhyme. In August of 82, crazy thing happens. The phone rings. It's Joseph Simmons. Yo, Darryl, remember 4 years ago when we was in 9th grade and I told you whenever my brother Russell lets me make a record? I go, yeah. Grab your school books, because I used to write all my rhymes in my notebooks. Grab your notebooks. We're going to the studio to make a record. So in August of 1982, we went to the studio and we recorded our first song, first demo, It's Like That, It's Like That, and that's the way it is.
That was the first one.
That was the first song that we did. We recorded that record, and that was it. Like, I recorded it. Now I'm starting St. John's University. I didn't know Run's brother, Russell, was taking it around New York City, shopping it at record labels, trying to get us a record deal. So it wasn't like I planned this. I'm going to write, and I'm doing a group, and I'm going to be Run-DMC, and we're going to make history. No, that wasn't the plan. But the moral to that story, which I tell people all the time, is things that happen to you academically and personally, even recreationally, will prepare you to succeed at whatever it is that you're going to do. The reason why I was able to have such a good career is because I was always prepared. By me reading comic books, I had a great imagination. By me being a good student, I knew a little something. You know what I'm saying? I was very educated. And by me putting the imagination with the knowledge or the information, when it was time for me to go make a record, I was prepared. And that's how it started. Now, Run, on the other hand, my partner Run, he saw hip-hop. Wow, you can make money off this? I'm going to get a mansion, and I'm going to get Rolls Royces, and I'm going to be famous. So it worked out for him, too. You know what I'm saying? He knew he wanted to be famous. Yeah,
So, of course, then it goes on. Run-DMC becomes a big thing. But
yeah,
you guys had a different look and a different sound that wasn't like anything out there. So there wasn't, you know, a lot of the conversations we're having here with this industry, and we were talking for quite a while about it before, is a lot of times it's, you know, a lot of things are the same.
Same old,
yeah. And in order to move the industry forward and really stand out, you have to sometimes take risks and do a little bit. And when you guys came on the scene, you took some risks. Yeah. You didn't look the same, you didn't sound the same. And a lot of the things that came out right there, we got the Adidas sneakers. So
branding, marketing.
You guys were the first group to really partner up with a brand. I mean, now, of course, everybody from Kanye West to Taylor Swift, everybody has partnerships.
We was the first non-athletic entity to get a major endorsement with a sports apparel company. To put that in everyday language, I don't play basketball, but I got a sneaker deal like Michael Jordan. Which had never been done before.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing that we wanted to do was, you know, there was rock and roll, there was hip hop and stuff like that. But a lot of the times, everything was the same. You know what I'm saying? The hip hop guys was trying to look like the rock and roll guys. And the new rock and roll guys coming in, they didn't want to add their own personal flavor, or they didn't want to add the aesthetics of what we were feeling. Like, we looked at the rappers before us, their idols were the Rolling Stones, Parliament Funkadelic, AC/DC, and the Bee Gees and all of that. That's the music that we were That's the music we was listening to when we were kids. So the first rappers in the business, they didn't have no other rappers to look up to. So our style, our superstars were the breakdancers and the neighborhood kids that we were seeing in the parks, and the kids that were still in their garage, in their mothers' and fathers' basements, beating on the drums, driving the parents crazy. That was our vibe. So when we came along, we wanted to present a universal image of all-inclusiveness. We wanted to build a community feeling. Like when we got up in front of y'all, we didn't want to look like rich rock stars that had 1 million bodyguards. We wanted to look like the kids that was going to school with your kids, or the kids that was going to school with your brothers. You know what I'm saying? We wanted to look like the people that we were in the community we were coming from.
I don't think I went to school with guys wearing hats like that, though.
Yeah, nobody was wearing the Godfather hats and stuff like that. And that was another thing. We was like, well, you know what's funny about that? Our look kind of came from older people. Like when we started making our music, we didn't have tailors. We wasn't getting these exclusive, leather and this. We didn't have outfits. Put it like this: we didn't have costumes. Number one, we didn't have the money to buy. We couldn't afford a tailor. So what we did was, when we first started with our career, everybody would go home and they would go in their mothers and fathers' closets. Oh, I'm gonna take that hat, my grandfather's suit, damn, I'm gonna take that, So we took stuff that was already in existence and we just added a little twist to it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
But it was definitely a unique look. And then even the brand, right? This is an iconic logo. You can go into a Target store now and you see young kids wearing it.
Which is crazy.
You see little babies in Run-DMC onesies.
Yeah.
Did you imagine
dogs,
that when you guys
see the little poodles with the Run-DMC
the Run-DMC thing, yeah.
Like it doesn't stop there,
And then you go up to him and you're like, hey, do you know a few Run-DMC songs? Like, no, but I know it's a cool shirt. But they know the brand.
Somebody told me this brand is the third largest recognizable brand. He said the other two that's recognizable, Coca-Cola and McDaniels. And then Run-DMC falls right up in there. And I'm like, really? Like, what?
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Like when we started it, we didn't know nothing about logos. So the guy that put it together, he said, we're gonna put Run on the top, DMC on the bottom, we're gonna put 2 red bars there. And then we looked at it, we was like, oh, okay, it's cool. I guess it looks good. Right? All right, it's that easy? But we didn't know it was going to be become such a so-called iconic brand. Like visually, when you see that, and now the beautiful thing about it is, if there's a marathon, it'll say Run, whatever that is. Like
I've got a Run NYC shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to hit them up for some money.
They took this logo and they
Nike.
incorporated it into everything, which is very complimentary.
So I want to take it back to the Adidas story, because I've heard you tell it before. The story about you guys are playing Madison Square Garden and someone from Adidas. Tell them the story.
The whole Adidas thing, we didn't wake up, and I guess the moral to this story, or the idea that I'm trying to get across is, if you're passionate and you love what you do and you're sincere about whatever it is that you like, there is magic in that. So when we wrote the song, My Adidas, we didn't write the song so that we could get an Adidas deal. We wrote the song because at the time we was rhyming about everything. You know what I'm saying? So we say, hey, let's make a record about our sneakers that we love. So we did the My Adidas song, and we put the record out, and all of a sudden we started hearing something is going on with Run-DMC and Adidas. The song came out, My Adidas walked through concert doors and roamed all over Coliseum floors. And we're the only hip-hop group to play Live Aid. Have y'all seen Bohemian Rhapsody?
Yeah, of course.
Great film and everything. I go to high schools and middle schools and I talk to the kids. I say, do you see Freddie Mercury and Queen in that movie? It's based around the time when they did the Live Aid. Yeah, we know about that. Yeah, that was historic. I said, I did that too. They go, wow. So we did the record about Adidas and we put it out. Rumor has it, what happened was this. We didn't do it, we never expected this to happen. So rumor has it, when Adidas would do their monthly meetings, you know, to check the charts and see what's selling, they would go through their whole catalog and they were dumbfounded and puzzled about why is this superstar sneaker, like, you know, they would do their graphs, the Stan Smith is doing that, and the Cadillac is doing it. Why the hell is this superstar, like they had no room on the board anymore to say how well it was doing. Rumor has it was an intern walking in. Dude, you didn't know? Run-DMC, the hip-hop group, made a record about your sneakers. And Adidas said, hold on, wait. What in the hell is hip-hop? And what did you just say? What in the hell is a Run-DMC? So what happened was, we was getting ready to play Madison Square Garden in 1986. So Adidas sent a spy to the show, this young man named Angelo Anastasio. It was like, we have to find out if this is true. What is this hip-hop thing? And what in the world is this Run-DMC? So Angelo calls up, hey, how you doing? My name is Angelo Anastasio from Run-DMC. And everybody wanted to come to a Run-DMC show, so we didn't think nothing of it back then. So he's like, yeah, I would like 2 tickets to come to see the band play. All right, come on, yes, give us your name. We got backstage VIP for you. So the day of the show, the night of the show, Madison Square Garden, sold out. So there's a point in the show where Run says, D, take it off. And I take off my sneaker. And he says, D, hold it up. And I held it up like this. When I held my sneaker up, 20,000 people in the garden held their sneakers up. So the guy, Angelo, he's standing on the side of the stage. He looks, he runs, it's true! It's true! There's a thing called hip-hop, and there's an entity called Run-DMC, and so he runs back and says, it's true! So right after that show, we get a phone call from Adidas. They gave us $1 million, tour support, and it was the first time in the history of the company where they changed the color of the box. Because Adidas box is always that blue with the 3 stripes. It was the first, they made the black boxes and put Run-DMC on the side.
So there you go.
So that's how it happened. And the beautiful thing about that is it's always like being creative and being innovative. And also, it was serving a purpose. Because when you see these sneakers now, not only do you think hip-hop and Run-DMC and what we did for commerce and marketing and stuff like that, but the reason why it worked was because it was good. It was good. Like when you see these sneakers and you think about Run-DMC and you think about these Adidas, it's not just about the actual product, it's about how it makes people feel. You know what I'm saying? People say in the Walk This Way video when Steven Tyler knocked the wall down,
well, that's what I was going to bring up next.
oh, yeah, they say, yo, that didn't just happen in the video, that happened in the world. It was a feeling of well-being and inspiration and togetherness and goodness.
Well, I mean, that was essentially the first mashup, right? Between hip-hop and rock, and one of the first major ones, Walk This Way.
Yeah, and
there's a lot of people that say you guys helped revitalize Aerosmith's career at that point.
Yes,
yeah, because they were kind of, a little flat.
They said...
They probably don't want to say that, though, right?
No, they say, no, Steven Tyler, their label didn't want to say that. But Steven Tyler and Joe Perry, they admit that, it was basically, at that time, Aerosmith could have made a record with God, like really made a record with God, and people said, nope, we don't care, nope, so what? But they were so far gone. But when people saw what the video did, it brought rock and hip hop together. It brought different generations of people together. It brought black people and white people together. It brought rock and roll and hip hop together. Because of Walk This Way, we did something impossible. People, okay, Walk This Way, wow, Run-DMC and Aerosmith, MTV was very influential too, because without that, I don't think people would. MTV allowed the world to see, okay, it can work, because people was channel surfing. I know a lot of y'all probably was channel surfing one night and was like, what the hell is Aerosmith doing with Run-DMC? What the hell is going on? And then all of our fans, and the black people only knew the Rolling Stones, so when they saw it, they was like, what the hell is Run-DMC doing with the Rolling Stones? Like, what's going on here? But it was very interesting. You know what I'm saying? And, it allowed Run-DMC to do something crazy, to tour around the world with the Beastie Boys, one of the greatest groups ever.
Yeah, I love the Beastie Boys. Well, it really ties into a theme that we've been talking about here, right?
Yes.
Strange bedfellows, unorthodox partnerships, trying to think outside the box, and again, trying to stand out in a sea of sameness and take risks.
Exactly.
So, and you guys are a great example.
It might be unorthodox, but you got to understand everybody has the same needs. But a lot of time people thought, oh, that'll never work. They said that. Look, they said, forget about hip hop. They said that about rock and roll. When rock and roll, it'll never work. Yeah. It'll never. And look what happened. Rock and roll. And then when hip hop came along, they saying the same thing. So to prove people that unorthodox stuff works, we did something great. We put rock and roll and hip hop together. The two things that they said wouldn't work anyway, we put them together. But it's always about looking at a community and saying, what do they need? Like in the beginning, a lot of the hip hop music was very depressing. And what I mean by depressing was a lot of the early hip hop music was about how bad it is in certain communities. You know what I'm saying? There's drugs everywhere, and there's gangs, and there's crime, and there's death, and there's shooting, and there's killing, and everybody's having sex and taking drugs. But me, you know what I'm saying, coming up from a suburban, lower middle class area of Hollis, Queens, we wasn't in the Bronx. But by the environment that I came from, seeing hardworking parents, even parents that, you know, some of my friends just had their father and 6 kids, but all those kids would make it to college. You know, some of them kids just had their mothers. Some of them kids wasn't even living with their mothers. They were living with their grandparents. And you would see grandparents taking care of kids. So we knew that even in the dirt poor ghetto, there was some good. There's always that kid that's going to make it to Harvard. There's always that kid that's going to be the great athlete. But there's also there's that kid that's going to be a painter, a sculptor, a journalist, a news reporter, a scientist, a physicist, if that's the word. You know what I'm saying? So there's always those advantages. So when we came along, everything that people thought was unorthodox was actually the makeup of the very communities that we're already in. The old people have value, the young people have value. What's going to happen when you put the old people and young people together? And that's what we did. One of the reasons why I'm so successful, and I tell kids this, I listen to the elders. Like, the elders are not old and don't know nothing. The elders are experienced. So we would sit there and we would listen to the elders. We would listen to the elders saying, you can do good, do the right thing. But we also listened to the elders who were messing up, the drug dealers that would say, you don't need to be up here on this corner doing that. You can be something. So we took that advice and we put that in our music. So if I was 18 years old, talking about the experiences of everybody young and old, everybody 17 to the age of 2, they're getting this wealth of knowledge. They're getting this situational, occupational representation of what's going on. So we're putting on that record. So if I'm 18, combining that with the knowledge of the elders, a kid 9, 10, 11 hearing that from me, when they get 18, they're highly evolved. Because we got to understand, it's not about age, it's not about gender, it's not about generations. There's no such thing as a generation gap. It's an information gap. We don't communicate. We don't share ideas. But when we do, that's when innovation takes place and creates opportunities for everybody.
Awesome. Totally agree with you. So I'm gonna jump ahead. Obviously, Run-DMC, as I mentioned, I mean, first one on the cover of Rolling Stone, 1989, you guys were inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
No, 2009.
2009, all right. Well, I got that one wrong.
No, 2009, we was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Eminem inducted you guys, right?
Yes, Eminem, he inducted us, and he looked at us and said, don't you know nobody in the history of hip-hop will ever do what y'all did? I was like, really? He said, because y'all the ones that would do it. Y'all did. I was like, wow, I never thought of that. First to go gold, first to go platinum, first on the cover of Rolling Stone, first on American Bandstand, first with the big sneaker deals, first with the big tours. It's like everything that hip-hop is doing, they say it's because of these 3 guys from Queens. That's crazy. Yeah. Eminem said, I'm a little white guy from Detroit who's better than all the black rappers. Look what y'all did. Wow. He said, that's because I saw y'all. I was like, wow, all right. Very inspirational.
That's awesome. So Run-DMC is not really recording music these days, and you've been doing different things like comics.
Yes, I put out a graphic novel comic book 3 years ago. I actually went for a music meeting, and when I went into the music meeting, it was about music, but the guy that I was meeting with, funny story, He was actually Eminem's A&R over at Shady Records, and he's working over at Atlantic Records. So I go to meet with a guy that worked with Eminem, and in the meeting he goes, yo, I know I'm supposed to be very professional, but he used these words. He was like, DMC, you was like my superhero, the way you looked and the way you sound and all that. And he just basically asked me, he said, what was it like when you was a kid? And I was like, well, I went, just like I told you, I went to Catholic school my whole life, and all I did was read, collect, and draw comic books. And he looked around, it was funny, because this is Atlantic Records, Warner Brothers, comic books. And I was like, why are you whispering? I was like, yeah, comic books. Comic books? I was like, yeah, comic books. We sat there for 3 hours and we talked about comic books, because he was a guy that loved comic books. See, we're all connected. See, we thought it was just hip-hop and music, but it was like, me too, man. I had this incredible Hulk, Stan Lee's a genius and all that. The whole thing, Batman, Superman. So when we finished talking, he was like, DMC, you should do a comic book. And I was like, nah, I don't want to, I don't want to be another rapper thinking just because I make hit records, I could do everything. Because, athletes that want to do music, no. You know what I'm saying? And rappers, they think they can do everything. I'm gonna start a liquor company and a beer. No, stay in your lane. But he said, he said, right, think about it. Because, celebrities have a way of ruining stuff. So, you can use a celebrity, endorse your businesses, but don't partner with them. But he goes, yo, D, you could do the same thing with a comic book that you did with your music. And I was like, what are you talking about? Inspire, motivate, educate, and entertain. So the same thing I did with my music, I'm able to do with the graphic novel comic book, which was my first love anyway before I even wanted to do music. So that's what I mean. Everything that you people are, you know what I'm saying? When you look at me, you see, Run-DMC, my Adidas, and Walk This Way. But really what you're looking at, we are all products of pop culture. All the TV shows that you grew. Like you see me, I'm the Addams Family, I'm Audrey Magini, I'm the Munsters, I'm Fred Flintstone, I'm George Jetson. So all of those things, believe it or not, give me confidence in my real life. You know what I'm saying? Think of those words, make believe, make believe. Oh, you into that corny make believe stuff, but look at those words right there. Make the world believe that it's real. So that's the thing that gives me my confidence.
So one of the themes we've been talking about here is purpose. Right? As
Purpose.
You enter, older life, you just hit 55, and I joked when we first got on stage here that
55 is my age, not how fast I drive. Say that again. Yeah, I'm 55.
But looking to the future, now you're doing comics again, what you were passionate about.
Yeah.
The hip hop, Run-DMC.
I'm still doing the music. Now I put together a band, a live band.
You are the king of rock, and you're doing actual rock music, right?
Right. I'm really living my rock and roll fantasy. Y'all know that record, right? Rock and roll fantasy. Because when I was doing it with Run-DMC, I was pretending to be the king of rock. There is none higher. Now I'm actually trying to be the king of rock, like to really do it. I put together a live band, drums, bass, guitar, and I still got to DJ this. So the fun thing about what I do now is I do my whole Run-DMC catalog live. So, live, it gives it a different feel and stuff like that. Because it's always ways to elevate, innovate, repackage, recreate, but still maintain the effect that you want to have. You know what I'm saying? It's like in this business, instead of being a nursing home, I'm being a fully functional wellness facility for people who are just a little bit older than your baby. Oh, that's very interesting. Those places are cool. And you got to do it in a way where, it's funny. Like when I perform now, the young kids go, DMC, you're an old head, but you put it down better than the youngins. Yes, you're damn right I do. So it's true. They say that. It's crazy.
I want to transition to, we talked about your comic books, but your other book.
Oh, yes.
So a few years ago, you put out a book called 10 Ways to Not Commit Suicide.
10 Ways Not to Commit Suicide.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we were talking earlier about behavioral health.
Nothing to do with hip-hop.
Nothing to do with hip-hop. So why don't you tell the audience about...
All right, how that came about.
1993,
Pete Rock and C.L. Smooth. Pete Rock, one of the greatest producers of hip-hop, if not the greatest. He produced a song with us called Down with the King. And this was in the 90s. Hip-hop had changed a lot. You know, Tupac and Biggie, Beastie Boys, House of Pain.
Onyx.
A rap rock, you know, groups, Kid Rock. Kid Rock was like, Run-DMC and Aerosmith had a baby and I popped out. Limp Bizkit, Sum 41, Korn, all that whole rock rap era of the 90s. So Pete Rock produces this song called Down with the King for us. And prior to this song being out, we was respected, but we wasn't participating anymore. We were pioneers, we were legends, but that was the era before, that was the 80s era. So in the 90s, Pete Rock put this record out, put us back on stage, back on MTV, back on the tours, back on the headlining position. When that happened for me, you might think that I'd be celebrating, yes, I'm back and I'm gonna take over again. When that record came out, the very next day after that record dropped, I woke up depressed and wanting to kill myself. I don't know what it was. Down with the King comes back out, we getting a bigger payday and everything, and I just felt there was just this dread in me. And it was so empty that it was uncomfortable. And it was an uncomfortable feeling that I didn't want to live with anymore. So I wanted to kill myself. And literally, I was getting ready to jump, y'all. True story. We was in, not the Ukraine, we was in Yugoslavia somewhere. And we had did an interview, like Jay and Run ain't know what was going on with me because I was in my own dark world. I was in the prison of depression. But I freed myself, but I'm trying to make it dramatic for y'all. So we do this interview, and I notice on the roof they don't have guardrails in this particular town in Yugoslavia. So I'm like, this is it. I'm going to kill myself, and I'm going to be all over the news tomorrow. So I go up to the roof, and I'm getting ready to jump. And right when I'm getting ready to jump, I go, oh, wait a minute. If I die now, people know the DMC story, but they don't know the story about Darryl, who's no different from any person on the face of the earth, no different from any of those little boys and girls. So I said, oh, I'm not going to kill myself yet. What I need to do is write a book. And in the book, I want to say, hey, world, I'm Darryl McDaniels. You know me from the groundbreaking rap group Run-DMC. First to go gold, first to go platinum, first on the cover of Rolling Stone, first with big tours, first with the sneaker deals. Everything that hip-hop is doing, they say it's because of me, Run, and Jay. And I was born May 31st, 1964. And when I got to that part of my identity, I was like, oh, I know my birthday, but I don't know no details about it. So I called my mother up. And I'm like, I didn't go, Mom, I'm about to kill myself. I need to know this, because she would have lost it. I said, Mom, I'm writing this book. I know my birthday's May 31st, 1964. I just want to know a couple more details about the day I was born. How much did I weigh? She told me. What time? She told me. What hospital? She told me. I love you, I love you. Hung up the phone. The phone rings an hour later. It's my mother and my father. We have something else to tell you. So at this point, I'm an alcoholic, suicidal, metaphysical, spiritual wreck who's about to jump off the roof. They say, we have something else to tell you. Now, I thought it was going to be, well, when you was born, there was a snowstorm and all the power in the hospital went out and they still delivered you. Something like that. No, they hit me with this. You was a month old when we brought you home and you're adopted, but we love you. Bye. Click. Yes. I was
really
depressed. Yeah, it was that click, because they had to get it out. You know what I'm saying? They ain't know how to tell me. Because what happened was I called Mom, I need to know these three things. She hung up the phone, ran right to my father. He's asking about his birthday, and he's about to put this book out. They was like, we have to tell him now. It was a secret that they kept from me my whole life. But why do you deliver it to me when I'm about to kill myself? Because now I really, really, really want to kill myself. So they tell me, because now I'm not even my mother and father's no more. That's how bad life can make you think and make you feel. So when I heard that, I'm like, I'm really going to kill myself now because I'm not even my mother and father. Because remember the rhyme I had? Son of Byford, brother of Al. Banner's my mother and Run's my pal. It's McDaniels, not McDonald's. These rhymes are Darryl's, those burgers are Ronald's. I ran down my family tree. My mother, my father, my brother, and me. I always talked about family. It's Christmas time in Hollis, Queen. I'm DMC McDaniels. It was always family, family. Now to find out that the family's not mine. But when they gave me that information, it was tragic. It was very, very tragic. But then a peace came over me. And I said, okay, I'm Darryl McDaniels from Hollis, Queens, New York, running J and my friends. I do this hip-hop thing. Byford's my mother. Byford's my father. Banner's my mother. My brother's Alfred, this and that, St. John's University. I wear Adidas, and I'm adopted. When I got to that point, and this is the purpose and destiny thing. Oh, okay, there's a reason why all of this King of Rock DMC stuff was set up. When I found out that I was adopted, it didn't stop there. I found out that I was a foster kid. So I'm dealing with all these emotions. I'm drinking myself to death. And then something came over to me where I said, okay, Byford, my mother and father is my mother and father. But now the universe is telling me there's a whole nother side to my story. And at first I didn't want to investigate it. But the thing that solidified my purpose and saved me was a famous adoptee lady that wasn't celebrity famous. We just think she's very famous to all adoptees and orphans and foster kids because she said this. The reason why you should search for your birth parents, regardless of the medical issue. See, my father was diabetic. So when I was a kid, every time I filled out a job report, I put diabetes. But that's not true of me. That's not my true self. So the adopted lady said this. The reason why every adoptee or orphan or foster kid, if they have access to search, the reason why they should do it besides medical is because of this. She hit me with this. Why? You never start a book from chapter 2. I said, damn, why you have to tell me that? I was living my life from chapter 2. So by getting this traumatic revelation, it did something. It made me say this, okay, let me go get sober. So the first thing I did, I wanted to go get clean and sober, which is a good, purposeful thing to do. When I went to get clean and sober inside of rehab, I discovered the most powerful thing any individual could do for themselves. I discovered this thing called therapy. And that is the very thing that saved me. Therapy does two things for you. It makes you say things to yourself that you never said to yourself. The therapist is just a decoy. I tell my friends, the therapists don't help you, so why do you go? Because the therapist is a decoy, so you can hear things that you never said to yourself and realize that you should listen to them, or you repeat things that you said to yourself that you just didn't listen to. So I went to therapy, I got clean and sober, and then it was a few days after that where I said, okay, I'm gonna go search for my birth mother. But the whole thing that wanted me to write the book is that what had happened when I got out of therapy, people would come up to me talking about Run-DMC and things, and my partner Run had the TV show Run's House for 10 straight years. And the thing with that was every season, everybody was expecting to see DMC on there. First season, no DMC, he'll be there next year. Second season, nah, he'll be there. So Run went through 10 seasons of Run's House where people thinking, because I'm not on Run's House, DMC and Run had a falling out. No, the reason why DMC wasn't on Run House, because DMC was in therapy and rehab. Because think about it. I woke up depressed. I wanted to kill myself. I found out that I was adopted. While I was going through the struggle, Jam Master Jay got shot and killed. So I had all this heavy baggage that I had to go work out in therapy. So when I got out of therapy, I would see people, and they would be like, yo, BC Boys 86, this and that. Yo, D, I always see Run. Why I don't see you? And I would go, well, I just got out of therapy. And you would see the whole countenance of these people change. Yo, why was you in therapy? Well, I was an alcoholic. I was drinking a case of Old English a day. This and that. I was thinking about killing myself. And true story, they would go, yo, DMC, can you come talk to my father because he? DMC, can you come talk to my daughter because she? DMC, can you come talk to my mother? I saw that everybody was going through something. Yeah. So I would go and talk to these people, and then after talking to, like I would just go, I'm not even a therapist, I would just go and share with people what I went through, and people would look at me and say, yo, DMC, man, you just did for me what 10 years of therapy couldn't do. So then they said, you know what you need to do? You should write a book. And I was like, no, I don't want anybody to think I'm trying to cash in on people's problems. You know what I'm saying? I'm not thirsty. They said, no, D, by writing a book, you could help so many people without being there.
Well, it's important
So
because
I did the
obviously
book.
there's a stigma, but the good thing
With
is
men- right,
nowadays
the
it's
stigma.
we have more conversations about things like that.
Exactly,
and
that's
a lot of
the thing that I
residents
wanted to do.
And you know,
If-
there's an issue within communities too.
If you don't admit how you feel, this rhymes too, because I'm the greatest rapper ever. If you don't admit how you feel, whether good or bad, you never heal. And if you remove the guilt and shame, you remove the pain. I don't care whatever it is. You've been abused, you're alcoholic, you're anorexic, whatever mental health issue that you have, you should not be ashamed of it. Don't be ashamed. If you remove guilt and shame, you have nothing to be guilty. And the reason why I would say it like that is, it's about how you feel. These people, there's nothing wrong with somebody saying, I feel like killing myself. What's been wrong since this world been in existence is how we act to that person. He or she feels like killing themselves. For instance, I can't tell you if you say I'm hot, don't feel hot. I can't tell you if you're hungry, don't feel hungry. You can't feel hungry. I can't tell you don't feel tired. So when people started telling me, I'm DMC, people around me was like, don't feel depressed because you DMC. That made me alienate myself. That's the worst thing you could do. Now I'm isolating myself.
Yeah.
I'm staying in my room all alone. What's going to happen? I'm the only person that feels like this in the world. I don't like the way to feel, so I want to kill yourself. I realized by me saying that, I was in therapy. I went to rehab. Everybody is connected to everybody. And everybody has a purpose. And even with me, I'm not a therapist, but I guess I put an innovative twist on how people can help themselves by admitting that I went to get help.
Awesome. I mean, your story from the beginning, there you go, round of applause. And going out and talking, and I know you do a lot of charitable work and talk to kids and everything. Unfortunately, we're running out of time here, but this is the second time we've done this, so it's the first time was a pleasure, that's what I was trying to say, or a thrill, but your story and the music and everything you contributed to pop culture and even here talking to this audience.
Yes, thank you.
It's awesome. And
we're all in this together.
Yeah.
We're all in this together.
And
I'm not the Pope and I'm not the Dalai Lama, but we're all in this together.
So what can they look forward to in the future musically from you right now? Anything coming out?
Yeah. I'm working on some projects now. Dig this. Oh, this is cool. Me and my band, the band that I put together is called DMC and the Hellraisers. Because remember the album was Raising Hell? So my band have to be the Hellraisers. It makes a lot of sense. So I try to keep it connected so y'all don't, what the hell is he doing now? Like, I want to keep, I can relate to that. So me and my band, we have an album getting ready to come out. But I also have this other project. It's called, check this out. It's called DMC, right? But it's not me per se. The DMC in this new project stands for Dynamic Musical Collaborations. And on this particular project, I'm collaborating with all my favorites, punk rock, folk rock, and classic rock artists. I got records with Joan Jett. I got records with Sammy Hagar. I got records with Travis Barker. I got records with Dave Navarro. I got records with crazy-ass Sebastian Bach from Skid Row. I'm working with all my favorite, John Moyer, Miles Kennedy, Tim Armstrong from Rancid. I'm working with all my favorite punk rock, classic rock, and alternative rock and folk rock artists from the last 50 years. So see, we're in the community. Look at us, we're all working together.
Yeah.
So the Dynamic Musical Collaborations is getting ready to come out, and the DMC album, DMC and the Hellraisers EP is getting ready to come out. Yeah. And issue number 4 of my comic book, DMC, and DMC works there. My comic book company, I couldn't name it Marvel. I couldn't name it DC because they're taken. So I named my comic book company's DMC, which plainly stands for Darryl Makes Comics. It works.
There you go. And to close, I was telling we were talking earlier about, again, the Jimmy Buffett themed retirement.
Yeah,
Anybody here want to partner up on a Run-DMC theme?
It'll work.
Yeah,
for
there you
sure.
go. You got Lynn Katzman. She's in New Jersey, too. You're in New Jersey.
Yeah.
So
I live in Wayne, New Jersey. Yeah, exactly. But those are things. Now we're at an age, date, and time and place right now where we have to provide the bare basic necessities to people so that they can continue to function. And I was sharing with where's the guy I was talking to? Is he in there?
Paul Mullen from Silverado.
Yes, over there. Hey, stand up right there. Yeah, we was talking. He's the man. But I was sharing with him, and this is very important. I was sharing him. My father, he had liver cancer and diabetes. But you wouldn't have thought that when he was living in New York City. He retired 10 years before my mother. My mother was a registered nurse. My father worked for transit, not driving a bus, but at the bus depot, he was a boiler man. So he developed diabetes and liver cancer, and he retired. But you wouldn't have known that he was sick because every day he was doing something, fixing stuff. He was going to the track and walk. He had his friends that all retired. They were more active than the young kids that hang on the corner and play basketball in the park. So he's diagnosed with liver cancer and diabetes, and he's good. So 10 years go by, my mother finally retires. She wants to go move down south back to Columbia, South Carolina. So they did that. 2 years later, my father was dead. And the doctors had said what happened with him, he was active and he had friends and he was doing, my father was damn near 70, sit your ass down. And I used to see my mother tell my father, sit your ass down. And I remember when I was 8, what did our parents tell you? Sit your ass down, stop running. So my father was running and playing and this and that. He went down to South Carolina, retired, but then he just sat there with no community. So now I'm starting to realize, what I'm trying to make you understand is Mick Jagger just had a heart condition. He just had a heart condition. They're getting ready to start the tour up. You know what Mick Jagger does before he takes the stage? For 20 minutes, he does wind sprints. At 71, how old? Before he takes the stage, and then he goes up there on stage. And me, I'm 55 years old. I still perform the same way that I was 18. Why? Because there's something that provides me the opportunity to do it.
Awesome. Well, again, complete inspiration. And wish you the best, and look forward to hearing the new music coming out.
Thank you for hanging out with us, y'all. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you to Sargenti again for sponsoring, and social media they can follow you, right?
Yes, I have an Instagram. It's King DMC, and my Twitter is the King DMC.
All right. Awesome.
Thank you.
Darryl McDaniels, everybody. Thanks, man. I'll take that.